Aloha, I am State Representative Bob McDermott, and I want to thank you for joining us this week. I am absolutely privileged to have one of my colleagues join me in a bipartisan display here this afternoon. He is a leader. He has been a leader in the state legislature, majority leader, finance committee chairman. He is well known throughout the community, throughout the state, and just a solid citizen and one of the most astute, smart individuals that I know in this body. And I'd like to welcome Representative Marcus Oshiro. How you doing, Marcus?
Good, Bob. Happy to be here.
I don't
like to do that. It's a nice joint. Huh?
So, I'm sorry. His deadpan delivery took me off guard. But Marcus and I have known each other for about 25 years, I think it is. And when I first came in years ago, we used to fight like cats and dogs. Republican and Democrat, we would fight over.
We still do.
We still do. I think we both have gotten a little older, as evidenced by the gray in my goatee. But he still looks like a teenager. He does. He's fit as a fiddle. And you're a surfer, North Shore boy. Wahiawa is your district. Tell us about your district.
Wahiawa is God's country. It's the Manoa of the West. That's where Dole Pineapple Del Monte started. That's what the 25th is today. And the Little Mules.
And you got Schofield Barracks in your backyard?
Schofield Barracks, yeah, 25th.
So you have had a lot of work with the military over the years, partnering, and you have a unique community, very rural, transforming. You got Mililani, a little bit of that.
Yeah, we're not Mililani. That's kind of, Mililani is, town side of Wahiawa. Wahiawa is the center of the island. We think it's the center of the universe, center of the state. That's where the birthing stones is, one of the more historic and sacred sites in all of Hawaii. It's the home of the 25th. It's a community that I went to school in, Wahiawa Elementary, Wahiawa.
Born and raised, right?
Yeah, middle school, yeah. Middle school, and of course, Liloa High School. I played football on the Huey Oshiro. I live there today. My parents live there. My relatives live there.
So you know everybody in the district.
Yeah, it's Wahiawa is one of those communities that has a distinction of having a deep-rooted community, generations deep. People who move to Wahiawa or have gone to school in Wahiawa tend to return to Wahiawa, set down roots, and we don't move. We tend to stay in the area, and everyone wants to move to Wahiawa, which is, again, the Manoa of the West.
One of the things, Marcus, I mentioned to you aside a few weeks ago is when I was up there for a graduation party, and in Wahiawa town, what I noticed was the streets. For such an old community, there was some planning that went into the streets because they're all 4 lanes wide, 2 on each side. They're fairly wide, and they're set up with, it seems to be a rhyme and a reason, kind of like a grid pattern, if you will.
Yes.
And that's unusual because if you go to other parts of the island, there's no rhyme or reason to the way the streets are set up.
Yeah, Wahiawa was settled over 100 years ago by folks from California, farmers originally. That's why it's California Avenue, and you have peach, you have mango, avocado. Those are the products of who settled in Wahiawa originally. So the first main drag off Kamehameha Highway is California Avenue. It runs top to bottom. And Wahiawa is really a compact community. We're an island unto itself, Bob. We're surrounded by, onto our east side, the East Range, and then we have the South Fork of the Kaukonhoa Stream, and then Wahiawa Town to the north side, North Shore side is the north side of the Kaukonhoa Stream, on the dam that creates Lake Wilson is on the north side. But Wahiawa is basically 2 miles wide at its hip, and maybe 4 miles wide top to bottom. So it's a very compact community.
Yeah, I noticed that, but it was the point was there was planning put into it.
Yeah. In the middle of Wahiawa, we have what we call the Civic Center area. We have Wahiawa General Hospital there. We have our banks. We have our library. We have a bus depot there, adjacent to our major shopping center there. We have Department of Human Services, Department of Health, First to Work program, WIC program, all in that central area, which is walkable, accessible by public transportation.
Do you have NC Tams in your area?
NC Tams is in Whitmore Village, which is about 2 miles outside of Waihawa North.
Is that your area as well?
That's also my area. That's a Naval Communications Telegraph station there. Provides both important security listening services for our armed forces. We also have, next to NC Tams, is the National NSA, National Security Administration, one of 5 locations in the United States. We have one of them here in Hawaii, here in Whitmore Village.
You know, and maybe you can amplify on this. When I drive to different parts of the island, like if I'm coming from town, I go in Eva Beach, I get a particular feeling, a vibe. If I go into, as soon as I go over the Pali into Kaneohe or Kailua, there's a different vibe. Kaneohe has a different vibe than Kailua. And when you go up to Wahiawa, there's also a particular feeling, right?
Yeah.
And then as you go farther north, it changes even a little bit more.
Yeah, you know, Waihawa, you're hitting about 850, maybe 870, 880 elevation. So you're going up a lot from Eva Beach, Kapolei, where you live, right? Where you represent. So you're getting up there, that's the plateau, and then you start hitting down the North Shore side. You start going down to Haliva, Mokulea. But Waihawa is actually one of the larger communities at a higher elevation.
It's cooler.
It's cooler. The climate is more moderate, maybe chilly at times. You know, during the winter, a little more rain up there. But again, it's called God's country because we're closer to God.
Yes, and every representative says his district is God's country. So Eva Beach is God's country.
Physically, we're closer to heavens, you know.
So, hey, I want to talk about 2 issues you've been working on very diligently. You have been the voice of restraint with regard to the headlong rush into medical marijuana. Why don't you give me an overview?
Yeah, well, I think restraint and reason. I think one of the things that people don't understand, we didn't appreciate, most people, is that most of the medical marijuana dispensaries here, of the 23 states out there right now, there are 4 that have legalized marijuana: Alaska, Colorado, Washington, Washington, Oregon. But 23 states have medical marijuana programs. On average, they've only been open and selling medical marijuana products like this.
Why don't you show the folks at home what these things are?
Well, for about 3 years. On average, the 23 states have only been open for about 3 years. This is a liquid form, a drinkable form of medical marijuana or
and
marijuana.
It's a cola.
It's a cola. Yeah,
it's like Coca-Cola with marijuana in it. THC.
Yeah. So it has some THC, about 8 parts of 10 milligrams of THC in here. This is Evening Wonderland. This is 1 dose, 10 milligrams of THC capsules of a pill form. This is a tincture. A tincture is like an extract, either
a droplets.
Yeah, glycerin or alcohol based. It extracts the marijuana.
I would imagine that's more expensive than the others.
Yeah, this is about, I think this is about $25. I think it's about, I think half an ounce. I think.
By the way, for the folks at home, these are all facsimiles.
Yeah. This was purchased in Colorado, of course, but it was emptied out, and there's nothing in here. This is also a facsimile of how they sell the marijuana cigarettes, also known as joints. This, of course, is a facsimile. It's not a real thing, but this is what it would look like. When you sell it in a little cube like this. This goes for about $10.
Really?
But this particular marijuana cigarette had a potency, I think it was high, like 28 parts, 28% THC. That's very high.
Yeah, it sure is.
This is Sweetgrass Kitchen brand medical marijuana brownies.
So those are brownies.
Yeah, these are brownies, like bite-sized brownies. And let me show you this is a facsimile again. You get 3 brownies here. I think this was $18, I think.
Wow.
And when I went to the store, the woman there said, if you're a novice, you would cut it into 4 parts and then cut it again into 8 parts. And you would consume maybe 1/4 in 2 hours. No more than that. Eat 1/8 of a portion of it and then wait 45 minutes, an hour. You see if you feel anything in your head or your body. If not, eat another 1/8, but no more than 1/4 in 2 hours. So that's what there. And this is cream. This is going to be cream. So we have, and this of course is marijuana cigarettes, joints here. There's about 50 or 60 joints here, and that's about the equivalent of an ounce of.
So the cream would be consumed through your epidermis, your shoulders, your arms.
Put it in your body, put it all over yourselves. And that carries the psychoactive ingredient into the muscles and into the membrane.
So, you know, for full disclosure for the folks at home, when I was a kid, I experimented with marijuana probably 10 times or something like that. So I'm no prude with regard to this. But the stuff that was around when I was a kid was maybe 2% THC. Now this is 28, 30%.
That's correct.
It's remarkably more powerful. And I saw that with one of my own children who, thank God he's moved on, but at one point was a chronic, which is a term for a young person who wants to get high all the time. Because it's so powerful, they just want to get stoned. Where the 2% stuff, the guys got a buzz and they were stoners and stuff, but so this is genetically modified, by the way, right?
I think a lot of the marijuana plants today are genetically modified.
Well, they all are. You can't get 30%.
They're amplified to the extreme on the THC content. And you're correct. In the 70s and 80s, the THC was maybe 2 to 4%. But today it's 15, 20, 25, 30%. So if you look at the High Times publications that come out every month, you know, they're promoting marijuana products and types of marijuana strains of 30% THC. And then when you start to get it down to an extract or a tincture, or you start to go and distill it down to something that you would put into an edible product like a brownie or a lozenge or even a liquid form like that, you're going to go and get concentrates of up to 75 to 80% by volume THC, which can be then put into a brownie or a drink or a lozenge or some kind of edible product. Currently, right now, we're not sure if the Department of Health's rules that are going to be coming out in early January are going to allow for edibles. But we know that the industry, those who want to make the investment in one of the 8 licenses, want to have edibles on their shelves. And the reason being this, Bob, the data that we find out right now is that 40% of the marijuana product that's being sold in products and stores today are edibles. 40% of the store shelves and the product being sold, 40% is edibles.
Yeah, and as we begin this discussion and delve into it, I want folks to know, and I think Marcus and I are of the same mind, and he can chime in. If a mom is in Mililani and she is going to, and she has a daughter, 11 years old, who has seizures, and the only thing that stops those seizures is for her to, the mom, to provide the daughter with a couple drops of this in her nutrition, her food, or anything, I got no problem with that. For myself, if a guy is dying of cancer, stage lung 4 cancer, and he wants to get high, I got no problem with that either. The challenge I see, Marcus, is that when we make colas and we make brownies in a mass situation, we're now targeting kids.
Well, we're not maybe targeting kids exclusively, but we're targeting younger people. I think the idea of having any kind of sustainable business is to make sure you have potential customers being lined up, being indoctrinated to buy your product when they reach the age of 21. And we've seen that occur in Colorado. You see it in the literature, you see that in the magazines, you see it in the freebies out there. Buy one, get one off, the BOGO kind of advertisement. Because you want to make sure you have a constant source of customers. In addition to that, because you're dealing with a higher, more potent strain of marijuana, they're more susceptible to being addicted.
Yeah, the addiction's real now with marijuana.
Oh yeah. They said 6 out of 10 teenagers who try marijuana will have the effects of that.
And that's because it's so strong.
No, 1 out of 6. 1 out of 6.
But that's because it's so strong as compared to the old days.
Because it's so strong, and 1 out of 10 adults will become addicted to marijuana. And these are true bona fide addictions, class A addictions, like anything else, like heroin, morphine, crystal methamphetamine. These are addictions that you need treatment. You may need years of treatment. You need professional clinical support and help to get yourself, back to square one.
So, the concern is abuse.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The concern is these doctors who fly in for one day and write prescriptions just for medical marijuana.
They write certificates allowing for the person to get a medical marijuana license from a medical marijuana certificate card from the Department of Human Service, Department of Health. It's not a prescription. It's a authorization. It's a recommendation. It's an allowance that they can do. And you hit it right on the head, Bob. all you need is a quote unquote bona fide physician-patient relationship. A bona fide physician
Means I sat down and talked to you.
Exactly. And you talked about me and what do you do? I'm a legislator. What do you do? Oh, it must be very stressful. It is very stressful. It must be, you know, a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. I get headaches. I get anxiety at times. I can't go to sleep, insomnia.
And my back hurts.
Yeah. Can you help me, Dr. Bob? Yeah. And you give me a certificate. I get that in, cranked into the Department of Health. By the time it's going to be a web-based, it's $35.80.
How many? That's for the certificate.
For the card, medical 35.
How much is doctor's visit? It depends.
It depends, yeah. So there's no cap on it
charge?
right now. Some guys, you know, they want to be generous. They're tied to some kind of HMSA, Kaiser, Aloha Care rate if you have insurance. But
the guy's coming in from out of town. If I'm him, I'm going to put 10 patients an hour, 6 minutes a person, $100 a head. And what do I run through that? So I got 80 people in a day.
yeah, you're going to make a few dollars from seeing these people. Again, there's really no oversight or regulation.
That's $8,000.
Yeah. I mean, you'll pay for your flight first class a couple of times to and fro between here and LA. But what we're finding out right now is that before you actually see the physician doctor, there's probably a social worker, maybe someone with a master's of social work, doing some pre-screening to see where you're at, where your head is at, where you are.
They're going to do that, or
Well, they're doing it right now. You know, there's some.
Is it required?
No, it's not required, but there's.
Okay.
But you do that because you kind of want to make sure that the time spent with you, Dr. Bob, the 5 or 10 minutes I spend with you is worth it. So I spend like maybe 15, 20 minutes with some certified, medically trained person, might be a social worker.
In the office?
Yeah, in the office, right? So
Oh.
I get some background, fill out the forms, everything else, and then I come and see you and I tell you about my anxiety, my inability to sleep, blah, 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 and you give me a certificate. But for $35.80, Bob, I can not only consume these fine products at a nearby retail dispensary, I can also grow 7 marijuana plants. 7 marijuana plants at home. And I can possess up to 4 ounces of marijuana.
That's a lot of doobie.
Yeah, this is 50 or 60s in an ounce. So you can imagine,
And how many people in the state currently, and I don't know the numbers, are medical marijuana patients?
they're using the number 13,000 right now. I think it's probably north of that, maybe closer to 14,000.
And there's a concentration on the Big Island.
Yeah, I think the Big Island contains maybe about 5,500 of those patients. I think Oahu has about maybe 3.
From your research on this, because you've done more than anyone else, what would you say is legit, the percentage of those folks that legitimately, like the baby with seizures or the cancer patient dying, stage 4 lymphoma, whatever?
I don't know, but I think the data that we see in Hawaii is similar to the data that's Arizona, New Mexico, Rhode Island, Colorado. That maybe 87, 90% of those who are getting medical marijuana certificates or are using it right now for medical purposes are coming in for pain-related purposes. It's not cancer, it's not AIDS, it's not cachexia, it's not a wasting disease, it's not glaucoma. It's for pain, and pain is somewhat subjective. But I'm hoping that the medical profession here takes it seriously now that we have this dispensary system, and begins to provide its own oversight over the certification and allowance of marijuana. Because I think, according to the professionals that came in to brief us, they said that when you're 85% of your medical marijuana cards are being issued by 10 or so doctors, 85% of the cards being issued by 10 or so doctors in the state, then you might have a problem there. That kind of tells you something is going on. You might want some medical or professional oversight of how they're issuing the cards, for what purposes, and maybe some regulation. It's like 85% of all the prescriptions for Xanax or some of the other opiate drugs are being issued by just 10 doctors. There might be some over.
So let me ask you this. Geez, I lost my train of thought.
When was the last time you smoked?
So, okay, to me, it seems the train has left the station. Oh, okay, dispensaries.
Yeah.
We're going to have 4 on Oahu?
No, there's going to be 3 on Oahu, 2 on Hawaii Island, 2 on Maui, and 1 on Kauai. Not on Molokai,
I
not
thought we
on
were going to
Lanai.
have 4.
No, you're gonna start off with eight statewide. So it's 3, 2, 2.
So
One.
3 on Oahu, but that's 6 stores.
Yeah, you got okay.
Each dispensary has 2 retail locations, right?
Yeah.
And the retail locations can go anywhere, and the city council has no say over it.
The city council has no say on it. The mayor has no say on it. The neighborhood board has no say on it. The Department of Planning and Permitting has no say on it. Wherever it's allowed to have a business, you can have a retail store. The same goes for your growing.
500 feet from a school, though, I think.
750 feet from a school, 750 feet from a care home, 750 feet, I think, from public housing. But it can be right next to the Lever Community College. It can be next to Windber Community College. It can be next to the University of Hawaii. It can be next to your HPU, right down here at the Low Tower. Conveniently located for those patients who are going to school also, right? Of course. But it's 8 licenses. Each licensee is entitled to 2 growing facilities and the retail. Each growing facility can have up to 3,000 plants, 3,000 marijuana plants in a growing facility.
Do you think, we got about 6 minutes left, do you think we're going to see, my gut tells me we'll see full legalization here within 5 years?
You know, I don't know if it's within 5 years. I think there's going to be a push, if not in 2016, 2017, or thereabouts. I think we've kind of sedated the community to accept what we have today, and I think they don't understand the actual data that's out there and the harm that we might be imposing upon the generation. I tell young people that we shouldn't be guinea pigs to their lives. This is actually an experiment that's going to occur on those younger people. Those are teenagers to the age of 25. Recent college graduates or starting their careers or their lives. We're going to test them because they have the brains in their heads that are most exposed or susceptible to addiction and long-term permanent problems because of marijuana and the potency of marijuana today. We're going to be experimenting upon those lives. And that's why I had to bail from this project and the way we're going with the commercialization model. You know, we could have done it the way we had it today and try and address the needs of those ill people, sick people, or those children who really need the product. But once you go to a retail market, you leave it up to the marketplace to run its course and to produce, sales, product, profit. It's a different model. So we basically brought back big tobacco in the form of medical marijuana to the state of Hawaii.
Well, you see the guys behind it who applied for the licenses in town. They all got money. You got a lot of money.
You need 1.2 million just to get to the starting block, okay? And then you need to put down, $5,000 just to put your bid in there.
Your application.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to list the videos and all the consultants, from Colorado and from Washington and from Chicago. So you got the money guys, you got the growing guys, you got the manufacturing guys, you got the packaging guys, you got the promotion guys, you got the marketing guys, you got the retail guys. A lot of them are going to be subcontracted to the local face, the local money guys who own 51%. But the real movers and shakers are going to come from outside. So,
I think our colleagues, if you took a vote today, would support full legalization. Certainly the Senate would, and I think the House would.
No, I think they would think once or twice about it because the governor said he does not support legalization, and I think the governor is looking at it right now and saying, no. Let's allow this experiment to roll out in my community for a period of time, but. Going from medical purposes on such a potent, effective type of substance at the retail level to recreation is a totally different animal.
Yeah, but all those people you mentioned, which was a list I didn't even think of, are all going to be pushing for the recreational. And you talk about big tobacco. Yeah. You have now, after 4 years or so, you'll have the retail stores in place, the dispensaries. So you already have the infrastructure.
Yeah.
To sell it. And one observation, I find it ironic that the same people who rail against cigarettes, generalization, and all generalizations are false, are the same guys pushing this. Cigarettes are bad, but doobies are okay. But you're still taking stuff into your lungs. It's not good for you.
Well, that's why they're going to produce these other products like edibles here, toxic, and creams, and other kind of substances as a better course. And then they come about vaping it. it's a less hazardous way of ingesting all the carcinogenic compounds. But it's still there. In fact, there was a report that came out from the American Medical Association saying that as far as being safe and of some quality assurances, you can't have it in Colorado. They're finding there's illegal pesticides remaining on the marijuana products, things that you will not allow a person, that the World Health Organization will not allow a person to ingest. You're finding it in retail products in Colorado and Washington and Oregon.
So far, we have 2 minutes left. What is the verdict so far, in your opinion, from those states that have been very aggressive with marijuana policy?
I think the people of Colorado, and even Governor Hickenlooper kind of expressed that I think many people in Colorado ruled the day that they, through the ballot box, allowed for recreational. I think he wanted a timeout before they went from medical marijuana to recreational. I think he wanted to see what the effects would be on their children, the young people of Colorado. And I think we're going to find the same thing out in the state of Hawaii. We could have gone where other states have gone, allowed for a not-for-profit model to take place, to take some of the profiteering out of this thing. But we went strictly into for-profit models right now. And the for-profit model has to be successful by selling product. They're going to market product. They're going to ensure that they have the ability to get this product out. It's
probably bring in doctors, sponsor the doctors to come in.
I wouldn't be surprised, and they're going to try and co-opt other people by co-branding with different kind of activities. And I just, I hate to see the day when they start co-branding this as being a health aid for an athlete or for a student or someone. But you know what? Madison Avenue is going to come here through this vehicle to sell. So we've got to make sure that our young people understand that their brains are developing. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And if you talk to any neurologist out there or behavioral specialist out there or counselor out there, they will tell you, if you can delay a young person being exposed to this potent marijuana of today, you lessen their odds of them becoming addicts and ruining their lives.
Or any drugs and alcohol. We're going to wrap it up. I've had the blessing and opportunity to talk to my good friend Marcus, who is the expert on medical marijuana. Thank you so much for viewing. Bob McDermott, thank you so very much. Marcus, thank you. Aloha and God bless.